Hello and welcome to another episode of Intune.training, the place to learn how to use Microsoft Intune, the Steve and Adam Show.
Hey, I'm
Adam.
Steve.
How's it going over there, Steve?
Pretty good, Adam. Yourself?
Oh, doing all right. Just a little chilly, trying to get ready for the holidays.
Yeah, it's a fun time of the year, obviously.
I guess it's a little bit different. You guys are around the globe, totally different seasons than us. So you're summertime
That's
now,
correct.
right?
So we're coming into summer. Well, we are in summer now, as of the 1st of December. It's been a fun couple of weeks in Sydney with all the smoke and all the heat. So yeah, it's an interesting period of the year for us.
So do you guys play the Christmas songs that have all of the songs about snow and everything over there too?
Yes, we do. So we still do Jingle
Seems like
Bells,
a
we still do
odd-
all the traditional snowbound songs, but we just don't have the snow. So,
Well, I live in Texas. We don't have the snow either, so it's about the same.
and sometimes it's actually raining on Christmas Day. Other years it's 40 degrees Celsius or 100 in your language. So
Good grief.
it's interesting when you sit there and put the lamb roast on.
Yeah, I bet,
Yep.
right? All right, well, let's get down to it. We're going to today talk about AppLocker. We previously released this video, and we had a catastrophic failure on the video recording and didn't catch it till after we had released it, so sorry about that. So we're going to attempt to act like we didn't have this conversation and talk about AppLocker policies.
And we also sorted out our licensing issues that we were having. Thank you, Vigilant IT. Hang on.
Yes. And I think we're going to do another video today, which will also cover the Security Center doing the advanced threat protection.
That's correct.
So follow up on that one. That'll be the next week, probably, for you. So a little bit of behind the scenes
That's right.
magic. We record these a couple at a time sometimes.
Yes, especially over
Hey.
this time of the year, as we're all going to be traveling for Christmas. Cool.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is just the classical. I'm going to talk Adam through the process. So what we're going to do, Adam, is we're going to go to the Intune portal in portal.azure, and then we're going to select device configuration. And hopefully we'll have access to see everything and it doesn't throw errors. And if we go profiles, and we'll see the existing one there because we haven't done any cleanup, but what we're going to do is we're going to select create profile. We're going to give this a name, Win10 AppLocker, and for the platform we select Windows 10 and later, and then in the profile type we now need to select endpoint protection. Yes, sorry, I'm doing all this off the top of my head for everybody playing at home.
And when you're not driving, it's just that much more
right.
difficult.
So you'll see that there's the Defender application. Yep, that one there.
Dot.
Yeah.
You'd think they would make a hover work here or something.
Or that you'd have the ability to full screen it along the top.
Resize or something.
But no.
Yeah.
So here we have the ability to bring up application code integrity policies. And when we turn this into audit mode, this gives us the ability to see what applications are currently going to get flagged if we turn on the enforced mode. Why this is important is, look, guys and girls, if you're going to sit there and deploy this out to your environment, you will block people from being able to do their job if you don't set this up correctly. So audit, make sure you sit there and check what apps are being blocked, what apps could be blocked, why they've got integrity issues, and then you need to build policies around allowing them to be executed.
So while we're here, I think it may be worth just taking a moment and talking about what we're trying to accomplish with AppLocker. So is Windows Defender Application Control commonly called, I'm assuming
called
this is
AppLocker.
commonly called AppLocker. And so the idea is that we're trying to protect our workstations from having malicious applications, or at least unauthorized or unknown applications running on your workstation. And so these policies will allow us to profile executables or other things that launch on a workstation, and take action on
That's
them.
correct. So it's all about application whitelisting. So this is where we sit there and say, we trust this application to run on these devices. So it's all about making sure that we don't have, as you say, malicious content running on your devices, and putting that extra layer of security on there. So in Australia, we have what is called the Essential 8, which is a communique from the federal government to say we need to have XYZ applied. And one of those things is AppLocker must be enabled at least in audit mode on all of your devices, on all of your workstations, with the expectation that you start then moving to enforced to say these are the only applications that can run on my devices. So it's all around just controlling and constraining the bubble. And then again with that audit mode, again with trusted apps, this is where we sit there and say, look, we're just automatically going to trust any application that's being classified as a good reputation from the Microsoft platform. And this is where it's using Defender ATP and all of those really intelligent components to scan the applications and executables as they run to make sure that they are secure and safe. So it's all
okay. And so we're looking at this, and it's saying that reputable apps defined by the intelligent security graph. And so this is where Microsoft is. This is all of the intelligence that's going into things like ATP and other things. All of the things they're doing to help keep us safe. These are the components that they're scraping some of that information to help run AppLocker in the background. So we're benefiting from all of the people in the world that are reporting telemetry data to Microsoft. They're crunching all that data, and they're using that to help provide positive security controls for our workstations. Correct. So that's just kind of some background on what this is actually doing. So this good reputation is based on
the security graph
coming
Microsoft.
From the intelligent security graph. And so if you want to go research that a little bit, you can read up on that. But just wanted to give you some kind of keywords to look for if you want to go and understand a little bit more what's going on.
So this is the basis of what's required for AppLocker to be run in your environment. What we'll do is we'll click OK on this one here, if we can, Adam. And then there's also an additional setting that I'd recommend to turn into audit mode at the same time, which is the Microsoft Defender Exploit Guard. So this gives you more rich information about that attack surface reduction. And if we click on that link, Adam, and what we'll see in here is the ability to identify processes that are being created by Adobe Reader, stopping Office apps from creating executables and creating other processes. If you go and enable this, like I did on my work laptop last week, and you haven't gone and validated all of the applications, you will have the inability to do certain things on your device. So I couldn't access Outlook on my laptop for a full day while I was trying to figure out how to get the access that I needed. So it's some really important stuff, right?
Yes, so audit everything first.
Very, very much audit it. Take the time and communicate to your staff that you're making the change. This is a organizational level change that should be communicated to your end users to let them know that there is going to be, that they could be impacted when they try to use new applications, and this is what they need to do from a workflow point of view.
Excellent. And I would say that this is one of those things that needs to take time.
That's right.
This takes careful planning and soak time. That means, you might not see it today, you might not see it tomorrow, but in a month you might see it. And so you need to keep a really close eye on this stuff and monitor it and let it soak in your environment, and slowly roll it out, slowly phase it out to people. and watch for
Yes.
feedback. Give people instructions on what to do and how to troubleshoot and
Have an
things.
agreed process with your
because-
service desk. Have an agreed process
Yeah.
with your end users. This is what's going to be done. This is why we're doing this. Because otherwise, IT will be seen as the purveyors of blocking people in their environment. The important thing to mention when we turn on audit mode, it will impact the performance of your devices. So that's a trade-off, but the security posture that gives you is a lot better in that we can see what's going on the device.
Yep. And so all of these things, because I mean we're not going to go into all of the detail on each of the items here, but I mean we've said it before, we'll say it again. The Microsoft Docs have just ridiculous amounts of information. Now sometimes they may be a little bit out of date and that sort of thing. And well, if that's the case, you can go and edit that and help contribute to it if you feel like something's out of date, or at least flag it as a feedback and let them know.
Exactly.
Open an issue on it. But if you walk through here, it will show you all of the different rules that it's going to create and all of the all the information, all the detail. And if you're going to click these buttons, you should go read these articles and make sure you're familiar with what these things are going to do and how to troubleshoot before you go any further.
Adam, while you're in that page, if we go back to the docs page,
Yeah.
see right at the top the review attack surface area. So on the in this article bookmarks. So if we click on that for us, so this is still in the same document, but what you're seeing here is this is the next step that we're going to go through for this demo, which is we're now going to go to the Microsoft Defender ATP website, being Security Center. And what we'll do before we go to that page, though, Adam, is see where it says PowerShell. I just want to get you to copy that code for me.
All right, I got it.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to save all of this in here.
Okay, turned on a couple of things.
We're not going to deploy this. We
Save.
haven't deployed the previous one either,
Create.
because we don't have any VMs running in our environment at this point in time. So at this point here, this is where you would deploy it out to your group and it would go being sent out. But what we're going to do is go to Security Center and not this one.
No, not this one.
So what you'll see is Microsoft Azure has its own Security Center, but what we're wanting to do is go to securitycenter.microsoft.com, which is the Microsoft Defender ATP address, rather than the Azure Security Center address.
Now, is this the one that we can get to from if we're at admin.microsoft.com and we do the show all admin? No.
That's an additional one.
Man. Okay.
So Security Center is separate from that.
You just got to type in the URL and hope you get the right place.
Okay. It's a matter of bookmarking it, is what I'd say. So see where you got the hamburgers at the top? Yep, we'll click that so then we can see the information on the left hand side. What we'll see is we're going to go to advanced hunting here.
Ooh, I like hunting.
And you'll see what we've got in there is a schema of all of the Intune.training information. Right now there's no information in this tenant. This is the default settings. But up the top where it says advanced hunting and get started, we're going to hit query, and now we're going to paste our, not that.
Oh, I copied the wrong thing.
Well,
I didn't want to forget this URL.
Docs.
The docs one, yeah. I didn't want to forget the URL, so I copied it. It's force of habit.
It's all good. So then we hit run on that, and that will bring back anything that's come back with the attack surface reduction links.
Okay, let me zoom out here a little bit and see if... Nope, there's nothing there.
There's no information there because we haven't actually sent any data up into Defender ATP. We've only turned this licensing back on in the last day. So
now a side tangent here. Bonus points if you know what this is called. This is the Custo query language, or KQL. Yes. And it is, you will find this throughout Azure, and even in the Config Manager CM pivot has it now. This is a very powerful yet simplified query language, and so by simply typing the name of the table, which is actually what's right here, miscellaneous events, you are doing the equivalent of a SQL, select star from, is what that equates to. So all you have to do is type the table name, and then you put a pipe character, and then you do your clause next to it, and it's got some nice auto completion in there as well. So as you start typing, if you get the syntax right, it will give you the opportunity to put all the syntax in. But they recently just someone released a cheat sheet for Kusto. You'll have to go look for it. Sorry, I don't have the.
Both of us retweeted it.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, we just recently retweeted it. You can go find it there, or we might even get smart and paste a link into our video description. Maybe we get lucky. Last time I did this, I wiped out all of our descriptions on all of our videos. So anyway, side tangent. This is KQL. This is Kusto. Learn it. It's just like learning PowerShell. It's a huge, powerful language that will help accelerate your career. Trust us, this one's a good one to get into.
And
all right, sorry for the preaching.
It also sits underneath the diagnostics for Intune, which will feature in a future video.
Yes. So anyway, so we've basically are able to collect data so this gives us access to all the data that's going to be collected off of our workstations, and then we should be able to then take any of these tables and dump them into here and query them and just say, okay, give me anything from here. So clearly don't have any data on it, but the moment we start getting data, we would be able to start working from that. And you can join all the tables together and do all those things. And this allows you to create a detection rule for a specific thing. So if you know something is coming out, if you know that if there's a specific application or executable that you don't want to have run in your environment, like we one of the challenges that we have in our environment is we've got a facility in a location that has tight governmental firewall controls, and so people will try to run proxy applications and to be able to get out to the internet and things. And well, we don't allow you to use a proxy on our corporate devices, and so we could put in something like that in here if we knew the name of those executables or things that we wanted to block. You could absolutely come in and do that.
And the other thing that what you can put in here as well is you can create an alert that then will bubble up inside Security Center based upon the query. So you can sit there and say, if we've got an application being blocked, I want an alert created, and when an alert is created, we can then consume that into log analytics, we can consume that into a workflow, and do action off that.
So I'm just running through here to see what all we've got. Look at all the pre-canned options you've got on these things. This is really cool.
Yeah.
So let's just say this is a web exploit and bad app, and then let's see what happens. So then we could put some text in here to say what we wanted to do. I didn't say account. I just deleted the user. Okay, so then we can automatically take actions on this. Nice. So we can tell it we want to restrict app execution, and we want to block that, and choose the file.
And that's
so we can, if we have the file.
So it's based upon the file encryption level, right? So if an alert's been raised based on an application being restricted, it can pick there and go, well, we want that SHA-1 thumbprint of the file to be executed.
Oh, wow.
So think of the MD5 scenario. But this is where we can then also automatically isolate a machine. So if it's detected with a problem that we don't like, it will sit there and just isolate that machine. But you can also sit there and create machine groups to say, well, this group of people can have it automatically go through, other people get blocked. So it's really powerful, right? And this is why in the next video we'll go through some of the really cool features that we can have popping up in here.
And I'm on the scope page, and yet it's blank, so I'm not entirely sure if that's supposed to have something
I think it's by default
in it or not. But so we can hit create, and now we've got a alert, and so that's right here under under the custom detections.
And it's just doing that machine info query. And then on the left hand side you'll see that there's the alert queue, and that's where all of your alerts for Security Center will appear.
Over here, yes. Okay, and so just to clarify that, because honestly, this is my absolute first time ever seeing Security Center, so never done this before. Does that shock you that we're doing this live? No. Whatever the query that I wrote here would have been detect.
I'm sure if you pasted it back in there.
Oh yeah, this one. Go back here. Yeah. And so I'm still editing bad app here.
Yep.
And I can do edit detection rule, and I can modify the query on it. Okay.
Yep.
Does that let me save it?
It will be saved automatically
when I do that. Okay. So then if I navigate back to it, nope.
It
didn't like. Oh, save. There it is. Hey, look.
Save.
All right. Now we've got it. All right.
So another thing to note here, Adam, while we're having a little tinker around in the console here, under shared queries, there's a suggested with the arrow pointing up on the left hand side, in the middle. Yep. And this is so these are default things where you can see what's going on the devices, where people have stored the default password, where they can see the downloads for applications.
Wow.
Pretty cool, right?
This is, I mean, it's cool, and yet this is
scary.
This is one of those privacy things too.
Yes.
So I guess the thing to point out here is that if you seriously need to control these things, then you have access to see them and do things with them, but also keep in mind who you're giving access to this data, because you obviously you're opening the door for people to kind of have a little bit more visibility into what their people are doing than their company might be comfortable with. So be sure that you are transparent with whoever you need to be with what data you're collecting, and ensure that everyone is comfortable with this.
Exactly.
Not to scare you off, you still need to use this. It's a hugely powerful tool. Just be careful with the data.
Cover yourself is what we would say.
Yes.
So I think that's a really good place to wrap up the video for this one, and we can dig more into Security Center at a later date. We might even put some devices in there, so then we can actually see some information around the software and everything around that. But yeah, this is where we're talking about AppLocker. The most important and the things that we need to return back to is, look, make sure you do testing and auditing for this. It is something that could restrict your environment and could become a resume generating event in your career. So
yes,
take your time, be concise, know what you're doing and know why you're doing it, because application whitelisting is a serious change to your environment and how people work in your environment.
Now, before we close out on this, I want to just double check on this one. So if we're back over here at the AppLocker stuff,
App control.
So how do I allow applications through that I want to have act like, so it's really not maybe doesn't have, it's not on the
so if you
intelligent security graph
to Microsoft Defender Exploit Guard, and now I've got to remember where we go. If we go to Exploit Protection, I believe, and this is where we can upload the XML that we create on a client computer. So there's there's a couple of PowerShell commands you can run there, as well as if you can also create it via group policy and then load it up in here.
Okay, so we can run this, get process mitigation, set product. Okay, to convert those to PowerShell or to XML commandlets. Now, are these? Do I have to install something on my machine to get those, or are they just on the machine? Okay, so let's see. Now I probably don't have anything on my machine to see, but we'll try. No, I'm not in the pretty mode here. Can I switch to the... There we go. Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's fast. Okay.
So as you can see all the configuration for that, and it can be based upon processes, and it's quite extensive on what's going on your device. So, yeah. This is the sort of stuff where it's every executable. So when I turned on AppLocker on my laptop initially, it blocked certain parts of Skype for Business from running because it detected it as an exploit. Yeah, so this is all the fun stuff around exploit protection and AppLocker and all of that application whitelisting in the Microsoft world.
Wow. Yeah, so this is, I mean, this definitely takes you down a much, well, so I think I mentioned in the previous iteration of this video, so we had a third-party group policy-based privilege elevation utility or least privilege utility. And we started out where we said, okay, block all, block star.star,
Yep.
and then allow access to C windows and subfolders and C program files and C program files x86. And we started there. Said, okay, anything running outside of those, we don't want to allow. And then we slowly added policies, additional things to run. And so I can see this being very similar in nature, where you want to start with most restrictive and then slowly open up access as required, not the other way around, because this is the only way to catch the things that you don't know about is to block everything and only allow the things that you do know about or do trust. And
On
so
test devices, not block everything in production.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Please don't do that.
Yes. So the general concept, though, is that you can't block things that you don't know about.
Exactly.
And so the only way to know is to essentially to kind of do that smoke test of, okay, let's lock it all down and then slowly open it up until we get to a comfortable place. And
well, this is where audit mode gives you the ability to see what's going on. But obviously, the thing with audit mode is you should always be reviewing your logs of what's been blocked and or what could have been blocked over the space of or however long you've got the system in your environment, because if you're not sitting and reviewing it, then your end users are going to be sitting there and screaming at you going, I can't run application X, and nobody wants that. Simple as that.
Definitely.
Cool.
I do like this. You have a nice exception down here for the attack surface. So you can say, hey, I'll do all these things, but I ignore these guys and stuff. So hopefully you get to a point where you get to a pretty steady state on this.
I think the best one in there, Adam, which we should call out, is the bottom one on the list right now. Process creation from psexec and WMI command.
We're going to scroll that up. Yes. We talked about this one before, and I didn't want to bring it up again. I don't agree with this, but I agree with it. It's good.
From a security point, it's really important to block people from using psexec to create
from an
processes.
admin perspective, it sucks.
Yes.
But yes.
And this is part of that conversation of, look, you're always going to have the conversation with your security team of what is feasible and workable in your environment.
Yep, definitely.
Cool.
Now, Stephen, before we go,
Yes.
is there a best practices guide or anything like that or a baselines for these configurations that people can use to reference off of?
Well, what actually Microsoft has, if you go all the way back to Microsoft Intune on the left-hand side, up the top, you'll see that there's device security there. And now we have security baselines. and this contains the configurations for Defender ATP. And this is the one that I turned on for my tenant or my account that managed to make a whole heap of changes. So if we go and create a profile just quickly and just give it a demo name.
Because that's the most easy one to know that all the information about what's going on.
So here is all of the settings that Microsoft recommends for Defender ATP baseline.
All right. Now, you're saying ATP. Does that include AppLocker?
Yes, I believe so. If we scroll through, application surface reduction is there, endpoint detection and response is there, AV, hello for business, everything's turned on. So yeah.
Okay, I'm not seeing the Defender application.
It might be under exploit protection.
Oh, look. Oh, this is a nice example of what that XML looks like.
That's right.
All right. Excellent.
Cool, right?
So hopefully this kind of gives us a nice primer for this.
That's
it's
right.
Obviously we could spend weeks covering all the in-depth details on all of these things.
The important thing about this that you'll notice regarding anything around security on the Intune training series, it's around the technology. We're not providing you recommendations on how you should be setting up your environment, other than make sure you audit, make sure you do everything to test it in your environment. We are not giving you security guidance on this.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And there's also this MDM baselines as well.
That's correct.
And so this could be, assuming if you're not using ATP,
yep,
you could apply these guys instead.
Or you can apply both.
Or both.
Sure. And there's also a Microsoft Edge baseline there as well, which gives you default configurations for the ADMX policies for Microsoft Edge. So nice. These are really good starting points, but as I said, as I keep saying, make sure you test them out in your environment and see how they work, because they might work really well, they might work really badly. We just need to make sure it works best for your environment, and both us at Intune.training and Microsoft can't be held liable for any of the changes you make.
That's a nice big disclaimer.
Yeah.
Yes. We didn't make any recommendations. We're just, other than you need to use these things.
Yes. And you need to test it. You need to validate it in your environment.
Yes. Go read the documentation and do the things. But you need to know, definitely need to be using these things.
Yep.
Well, this has been great, Stephen. I think we've covered this one really well, and hopefully this will encourage you to go out and have some good conversations and some discovery and some discussions with people, and get some security enabled in your environment if you don't already have these things enabled. Definitely. The one last caveat is, so for the Windows Defender or for the ATP
Defender
license,
ATP, Microsoft Defender ATP.
License.
Very important, because there's many different ATPs in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Microsoft Defender ATP requires a Windows 10 E5
That's correct.
license in order to use it. So just keep that in mind.
Yep. But it is well worth it, because the price difference is typically how much you're paying to your third-party AV vendors, is what I would say around that story. There's some other security features you get that we may go into at a later date around that. Cool.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Stephen, and we will see you at the next video, folks.
Yes.
As always, you can find us on social media, and all of our relevant information is in the box below. You please subscribe to the channel. We're going to probably take off some, start using the notification thing there. Plus, follow us on social media. I'm at Adam Gross TX on Twitter.
I'm at On-Prem Cloud Guy.
Yep, and those links are definitely down below as well.
Yep.
So thank you so much for.
Thank you.